Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the historical mechanics of turning pure focused desire into actual physical wealth. We're talking about literally taking an invisible thought and transmuting it into absolute reality. So let's dive right in and look at one of the absolute best historical examples of this principle in action. Seriously, how does a penniless guy partner with Thomas Edison? Notice I said partner with, not work for. Well, this is the incredible story of Edwin C. Barnes. When the idea first flashed into his head, he had two massive roadblocks. First, he didn't know Mr. Edison at all. And second, he didn't even have the train fare to get to Orange, New Jersey. Honestly, most people would have just thrown in the towel right there. But Barnes, he was fiercely determined. Thomas Edison, literally the greatest inventor of his time, later said that while Barnes looked like an ordinary tramp standing there was just something in his face, an expression that conveyed absolute, unshakable determination. He was going to get what he came for. So Edison gave him a menial job, basically just to see if this young guy would actually stake his entire future on this crazy conviction. And here's the crucial distinction: working for someone versus working with them. To even get to Edison, Barnes traveled by blind baggage on a freight train, literally sneaking on. He arrived with absolutely $0 and zero formal education. But his definite, all-consuming purpose wasn't to be an employee. He'd sweep floors if he had to, sure, but his overarching goal was to become Edison's business associate. He held that vision firmly in his mind. Now, this definitely didn't happen overnight. Barnes accepted this obscure, menial labor and waited for 5 full years. 5 years with absolutely no promise of success. But then opportunity showed up, kind of disguised as a failure. Edison invented a dictating machine, the Ediphone. Edison's own expert sales team absolutely hated it. They literally said it couldn't be sold. But Barnes, he saw his opening. He boldly volunteered, took the machine nationwide, and coined the legendary slogan, "Made by Edison and installed by Barnes." He literally thought his way into a partnership that made him a multi-millionaire. Section 2. Defining goals and value. The mindset of wealth. To understand exactly how Barnes pulled this off, we have to look at the mindset required to prepare for wealth. In this preparation phase, Barnes established a definite purpose and just kept taking continuous action. But the real key here was his burn the ships mentality. It's like that ancient warrior who sailed to an enemy's shores, unloaded his troops, and then literally ordered his own ships to be burned to ashes. He looked at his men and said, "We win or we perish." You have to eliminate any possibility of retreat to build the intense, burning desire that success demands. A huge part of this mindset is understanding the exchange of value. We need to contrast cash value against use value. If you look at the source texts on wealth creation, you quickly realize you have to ditch the whole idea of cutthroat competition and just trying to beat people. Instead, the real secret is that true wealth is built by giving every single person more in use value than you take from them in cash value. That generous, creative mindset, that's exactly what attracts wealth in the first place. Section 3, The Turn, 6 Steps to Riches, a practical framework. We're going to break down the exact 6-step blueprint derived from these historical successes. Just wishing for wealth isn't going to cut it. You need daily execution. Think of this as following Edison's own grueling but structured journey to inventing the light bulb. Step 1, fix the exact amount or goal in your mind, just like Edison fixed his mind entirely on creating the electric lamp. Step 2, determine exactly what value you're going to give in return. What effort or invention are you trading? Step 3, set a definite date. Step 4, create a concrete plan and start immediately, even if you don't feel ready. Edison didn't wait. He tested materials relentlessly, day after day. Step 5, write it all down clearly. And Step 6, read your written statement aloud twice a day. Let's zoom in on that final step because its psychological importance is absolutely crucial. As you read aloud, again, much like Edison visualizing a brightly lit bulb long before working one ever existed, you have to vividly imagine, see, and literally feel yourself already in possession of the wealth or the goal. This isn't just fluffy positive thinking, okay? It's about practically instructing your subconscious mind. You have to work yourself into a state of absolute belief, directing your mind to uncover the practical plans to actually make it happen. Section 4, Surviving Temporary Defeat, the Inevitable Obstacle. So, we have our plan and we have our desire. But make no mistake, we will be tested. How do we maintain persistence when adversity suddenly shows up? Because that's what trips up almost everyone.
The vital difference we absolutely have to recognize here is the difference between permanent failure and temporary defeat. Temporary defeat is just a necessary obstacle that comes right before success. The texts repeatedly show us that opportunity has this sneaky habit of slipping in through the back door, often disguised as misfortune or defeat. And sadly, most people mistake that temporary setback for permanent failure and just walk away from their dreams.
Just look at the number 10,000. This perfectly illustrates the concept. Thomas Edison himself met with temporary defeat 10,000 times before he finally perfected the incandescent electric lamp. 10,000 times. There's no way most of us would survive that, but he never accepted a single one of those setbacks as a permanent failure. He maintained his belief, using every single defeat as a valuable stepping stone to uncover the secret he was relentlessly hunting for.
Now contrast Edison's 10,000 attempts with the number 3. This is the tragic math of a man named R.U. Darby. During the gold rush, Darby's uncle went west, struck gold, but then the lucrative vein just vanished. They drilled and drilled desperately, but eventually their persistence just broke. They gave up and quit, and they stopped a mere 3 feet from the main vein of gold. 3 feet! Darby and his uncle literally sold all their heavy machinery to a junk man for a few $100 and took the train home in total defeat. But, that junk man wasn't dumb. He immediately brought in a mining engineer who actually understood fault lines. And the engineer calculated that the vein was just 3 feet from exactly where Darby had stopped drilling. The junk man extracted millions of dollars from that mine, all because Darby lacked persistence and failed to seek expert counsel before deciding to throw in the towel.
But Darby's story actually doesn't end in tragedy. He brilliantly reframed his massive failure into a lifelong asset. He later got into the life insurance business, and whenever a potential client told him no, he just remembered that gold mine. He used the painful memory of his massive mistake to forge ironclad persistence. And you know what? He eventually became one of a tiny, elite group of people to sell over $1 million in life insurance annually. Section 5. The habit of persistence. Willpower meets desire. The source material makes it incredibly clear. Willpower and intense desire form an absolutely irresistible pair. When you combine them, they create the ultimate wealth-building habit, which is unwavering persistence. Let's run through the key components of cultivating this. Intense desire is your absolute foundation, but you also need organized plans and accurate knowledge. Guessing, that destroys persistence. Knowing the actual facts protects you from that overwhelming urge to quit. We also need sympathetic cooperation, what the texts call a mastermind group of supportive peers, and concentrated willpower to force ourselves to act courageously, even when we are staring defeat right in the face. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. We've seen the historical proof, we've explored the mindset of use value, and we've traveled through the 6 practical steps. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question. What is your definite goal? If everything starts with a burning desire, what is yours? Define your specific target, write it down today, and promise yourself that you will never, ever accept temporary defeat as a permanent failure.